right. Hey, everybody. Oh, happy May seems to have frozen on me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed YouTube frozen on me too, so it's not just you.
YouTube is frozen on me also.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So it's not us, it's them.
Hopefully, this will continue to work.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're back. Now we're back. So fingers crossed.
Cool. All right.
I see it.
Okay.
All right. So, I'm Rachel. Know me as Rach in the AuthorTube zone and authors groups that I'm in. I write all kinds of genres, mainly urban fantasy, paranormal romance, fantasy, some horror, and I also have a writing advice blurb. Listen to me. Blog called Aggressively Helpful Writing Advice.
Hello, lovelies. Mama Maggie Ward, independent author, stroke survivor, migraine overcomer. I have a blog called #WhipChat. It's about world building on Substack. I also do writing sprints when I'm feeling up to it. And I do book things. And I'm here because I had to relearn the craft of everything after my stroke, and writing was one of those crafts. So I hope that my fumbling journey can help you.
And she also has a book that's on sale for 99 cents. So make sure to catch that link in the YouTube chat. Hunter's going to be wild today, so that's going to be awesome.
I'm gonna take care of it.
You're good.
And there's Beltane.
Yeah, Beltane.
Most of us are in Beltane, and most of us are in Boghag.
Yeah.
Which both go to support Coal Cottage Small Animal Rescue.
Yes, which is awesome.
Thumbs up on Renaissance Fair-ish places to sell Beltane. That was a good idea.
Nice. All right, cool. So
how was Ren Fair? You look like you guys were having a blast.
We had fun. We just had there was so one of the festivals had actually a lighter turnout than they did last year. So we just barely made the booth fees and stuff like that. Luckily, it was a closer Ren Fair, so there wasn't a lot of gas put in it and, things like that. So, staying or anything like that. So, like, my recommendation is try local first. The other one had over 2,500 people show up the first day. The second day there was no storms. The first day there were storms. So the second day there were no storms, and it was also not in competition with a bunch of other events going on, like had been Saturday. So they had even more people show up that day. I haven't got exact numbers, but we have decided that we're probably going to go back to the bigger one next year, and we made money, but we want to expand on that. So people are really into special edition, hardcovers, book boxes, things like that, where you put everything together. And we really just focused on paperbacks. So we could have done a lot better. Also, we're going to try and get our position within the Ren Fair at somewhere closer to more adult stuff, because we actually were on the aisle that led to the children's section. So I was like, ooh, we've got a bunch of teens coming through here that are like, immediately seeing our book covers, just like, oh my gosh. And I'm just having to unfortunately tell them, this is an 18+ book. I'm sorry.
We've got a question for Maggie from Cat Paw. Hey, Cat Paw. Are you no longer on Kindle UK?
I should still be on. I am on Kindle Universal. So I because I have readers in Australia, New Zealand, UK, Germany, and India. So I cannot, however, this is annoying AF. I cannot do sales in more than one region at a time. So I cannot do my UK sales and my New Zealand sales and my Aussie sales at the same time as I do my US sales. Also, you cannot do a sale on a book more than once per quarter. So,
Yeah, you have to actually
yeah.
change
So,
the
but
all of it.
yeah. Cat Paw, if you want to DM me on Instagram or on my author page on Facebook, I can send you the EPUB or PDF copy of Cat Lady if you want it, as my apology for the whole YouTube hates independent author thing. But yeah, YouTube hates us, Amazon hates us, everybody hates us. And yet they want our streams, they want our content on their platforms.
I did get Milo an outfit, by the way. So Milo is going to have a nightly outfit next year.
I love Milo is such a good dog. Okay. Scratches the ears. Okay, I'm fine. It's fine. Hi, my name is Mama Maggie, and I'm secretly a Disney princess. Don't tell the overlord. I didn't want them to make an animation, a real action, and a stage play about my life.
Yes, very much so. Oh,
Let's-
Connor is joining
Yeah,
the
we were
rehearsal.
going to talk about content. I do not want to get started on repeated. We're going to talk about formatting. I don't want to get started on repeated content and the fact that there are literally tens of thousands of independent authors out there with amazing science fiction, science fantasy, and fantasy stories, but they keep making the same dang movies over and over and over.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Hold on. I'm going to push my soapbox out the door. Okay.
I don't have my soapbox thing like what I have on my stream. I now have a dragon that's standing on a soapbox for my
The only thing
stream.
that I have nearby is my writer's block.
Oh, there you go. I love it.
I want one of those. I want one of those.
I need to make a soapbox one. Yeah. But yeah. Okay.
I can't wait to meet you, Sky. That'll be fun. Because you know you're going to meet me. We're going to meet, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk the middle into letting me come out there.
Yeah, because we have so many events going on. Like we have the Eastern North Carolina Ren Fair, and then the Festival of Legends was this month. But then they have the huge North Carolina Ren Fair, the Highland Games, and all that kind of stuff later on in the year. So, and we also have a pirate festival, and I mean, it's just there's all kind of good stuff.
No, I
there's all kinds of festivals.
I think I posted in the Breaking the Block group chat that we have on Insta that I need to go to Baltimore Con just because Cat Lady here is the first third of the book is in Baltimore. Enoch Pratt Free Public Library.
Yeah, Rita, this is because I saw you struggling in the comments yesterday, so I figured that we need to help you out if we can.
Formatting is an art. Formatting is an art, and there are so many programs for formatting. There's so many programs for converting formats because the format that you write in is not the format that the publishing companies want you to upload. And it like I use Word for everything, and honestly it's because I don't have the brain cells or spoons to learn new programs. So I write in Word, I format in Word, and then I use a free program called Calibri to convert to EPUBs and PDFs. But the problem is when I upload them to Amazon, especially for the print books, it's not so bad for the EPUB versions, but for the print books, I end up having to literally go through on their thing, one page at a time to verify everything. And then I have to stop, go back to the docs format that I have, tweak it, re-upload it, go back, flip all the way through till I get to that point and start working forward again, because Amazon, I don't know, and I'm not the only one that has gotten print books where the formatting's turned weird, where there's suddenly like a break in the middle of a paragraph or a chapter, and there'll be like a blank page, just a random blank page, or a random break where there'll be a half of a blank page. And is your header too high? Is your footer with your page number too low? Is it too far to the left? Is it too far to the right? Is the gutter for the mirror margins what the platform wants? I have posties. Up on my thing with different sizes of different books and what the required spacing format issues are on it. If you can afford to pay a formatter, that's something that I would do. There's a lot of people who use Atticus or Vellum, and I cannot speak to those because I don't know how to use those.
After this, or I can look for it now. I have kind of a document that tells to remind me of how to format things for a 6x9 book in Word, so that I can then transfer it completely into Atticus. And then from that point on, everything I do as far as the formatting is concerned is in Atticus. I don't use Atticus for writing. I swear every time I go into the Facebook group for Atticus, people are complaining because Atticus this, Atticus that. It's not good enough. It's not. And I'm like, you're writing in it though. Don't write in it. Just use it for formatting. That's it. That's what it was originally intended for. So that's, again, it's not a perfect solution, but it has definitely paid for itself. I think I got it on sale for less than $200, and I was paying a formatter $150 per book. So I've already gotten 4 books out of it. Actually, I reformatted my original book too, just so that I made sure that all of them were, consistent with the formatting. And so, as you can tell, it's like 4 times 150. That's how much I've saved so far, and I can use it. Also, James has been using it, and he's got 2 books out now. By the way, he just released his second book. And I can also offer to, use that to help other people. And I'm not doing anything fancy so far. I know that there's capabilities. The only thing fancy I've done is I've put a map in it. So I know that you can do full images in, like my title page. The title page is a full image. So I use that as a full image. You can do kind of the switcheroos when it comes to dark pages and light type. You can do images on every single chapter heading. Stuff like that. You can do images all through it. I have also created a method of using the different header types to create a letter. Like if somebody wrote a letter or a note to somebody else, a character wrote a letter to somebody else, that is set apart by using it's a little trick that Publishing with Andy taught me. So, Yeah,
I'm sharing some of Andy's links because he's
Andy
got
actually
some
went into
really
stuff.
good videos on this.
So Andy went into stuff that they didn't mention on the tutorials, and they've redone the tutorials and they've re-upped the programming and everything. So it's actually in 2025 much better as far as using Atticus is concerned. But yeah, Andy he mentioned things that they didn't mention. Maybe they didn't think it was important, but for us that want to do some little jazzy stuff in the middle of our books, yeah, we want to try that, you know? So I would suggest, that's my suggestion. I know that you can do it just through Word. I tried, I got frustrated, and when I get frustrated, I'm done. I know better because I'm just going to make it worse. So that was what I did. I also, because of loading it up to Story Origin, used what did you call Calibri? Yeah. That is also a very cool tool because you can just literally just load your stuff up in there. It will keep it like a library, and you can always go back and just convert it to whatever you want. Whether, I mean, used to it was Mobi, right? And then the EPUBs and PDFs and just everything it will convert it to. And it'll also keep track of your cover art as well. It'll attach it to your book. So there's a learning curve to it, but if you can't afford the cost of Atticus, which by the way, you get that for life. So it's one so far. It's been one fee. But if you can't afford it right now, then yeah, what they're talking about with Word, mixing it with Calibri is a really good idea. It's just a little bit of a learning curve. So just try to, buckle down because all of them have a little bit of a learning curve. I'm just simple-minded when it comes to technological stuff. So Atticus was the way to go for me.
Yeah. I liked Calibri because I liked the ability not only to like put my own covers onto as a first page on my ebooks, but it will also, if you don't know how to create the table of contents in your EPUB book, Calibri will do it for you automatically.
Yes.
So that and
that was a bonus for both of them, for
and
Atticus
the fact
and
that you can
Calibri.
adjust it to set the number of chapters that you have. And I normally set the number of chapters +2 because you have the intro of the book, the information page, and the blurb on the opposite, and then the first chapter. And then I have an author section in the back that has a list of all of my other books in my back matter. So that will give that its own chapter by setting it the number of chapters +2. So, and
remember, I noticed that she's talking about maps. Like when you set a map or anything like that, just remember in your brain. What got me at first was I wasn't thinking about things as far as thinking of them as images. I was just thinking of them as a regular page. And most of these programs, they separate those two. And so you can mess up by forgetting that you've got an image there on a page.
Yeah.
And so just be aware.
I had that issue with Cat Lady. Let me real quick flip to this. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so here's my chapter headings. I see this little kitty image that I have above the chapter. Getting the formatting to accept the little kitty image and not give the kitty image its own page every single time. Because like here's my chapter breaks. Smaller kitty image with little schwa things on the sides of it. To get the uploaded format to not give that image its own page every single time. Formatting this book took me over 2 weeks because I would have to stop and walk away from it so I didn't delete the entire thing. And I can't imagine like putting maps into I'm putting one page of a map in the front or the back of the book. Yes, but when you see these books and they have like the images above every chapter, that's a nightmare to me. I look at that and I'm like,
That's the reason that was part of it. That was part of the reason I was like, I'm going with Atticus, because I watched them do a step by step on that, and I was like, that's it? Okay. Sign me up. Because in the future, I do want to do that. I want it to be part of the special editions, and I want to, do all the special this, that, and the other things for Kickstarter, and for, like I said, the conventions coming up, having the special, stuff on different pages. And I think it was well worth it for me, because again, you guys have more patience than me when it comes to to dealing with Word. Like, I think that there's or you go out and scream in the backyard every once in a while, and
yeah.
I can't do that because I'll have.
I don't have neighbors. My closest neighbors are a quarter of a mile away.
See, I don't have that luxury.
And
I'll go out and
they're
scream,
gone
and we'll
during
have
the day, so I can go outside and scream and cuss and kick things and make firewood. Yes. Frustration for formatting is an excellent way to build up energy to make firewood.
I'm over here just looking for that list that I promised. So.
If I could, formatting. You all know I have zero budget for anything for my writing life, so I do everything in house. I have the eldest who has a multimedia graphics degree, and she helps me with the covers. I have the youngest who was extremely good in English and things like that. She had an excellent teacher, Mrs. Sargent, who has since retired. And she helps me with the editing. But formatting formatting is the thing that is the most frustrating, because it seems like it would be intuitive. It seems like it would be simple, and it's not. And there's
the most time-consuming thing other than editing. I mean, just hands down, because like a big book like I'm No Hero with like the chapter breaks, images, and stuff like that. Yeah, that took me a week just to get the chapter breaks in the middle of the page. Like, it didn't do a separate page for them like it did for you. It put them in the wrong paragraph and either to the right or to the left, not center. So going through 600 pages of that, that was fun. Upload your book to make sure everything's right. It'll do the table of contents and all that good stuff, and then you can download it in any format that you need to. So Drafted Digital is good. Ingram Spark also has a book builder that is fairly good. It's not got all the bells and whistles that like Atticus has, but it's another thing that y'all can look at and play around with. At least get the basic form of what you want, and then you can take it over to Atticus or Calibri and see what you can build off of that with those programs. Hey, Cammie.
Just know you're not alone in frustration when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Even with me using a tool like Atticus, I still have to go back through it and be sure of things, because sometimes things will something gets messed up in the programming, or I have to restart it. That's another thing that is a complaint about that program, is that sometimes your stuff will just freaking disappear, and you're like, you freak out, and they're like, no, it's okay, it's there. You just have to, restart because we had an upgrade.
Yeah. Rita says, was thinking it would take a month or more to set up the proper formatting. I could handle weeks. Yeah. I think Atticus has a way that you can actually save the your favorite format.
Yes.
Too.
You can create your favorite format, and then you can save it as a template. Same way with your author notes pages, your dedication pages, your copyright, your back matter. All of that can be saved as master pages, so you don't have to redo all of that work. Same way with when you upload images, it saves all the images in Atticus. So you can just go back and go, I want that image here for your breaks, your chapter or your scene breaks and stuff like that. I just use scene breaks. So that's
The first book is always the hardest.
sorry,
So
Rita.
just keep that in mind. First book is growing pains, and after that, it's just going to feel like everything flows until that second book snag, and then the third book snag. There's always going to be a little something, but the first book is always the hardest. And just try to be patient with yourself, and it'll come together. I promise.
And then you're going to hold your book in your hand, and you're going to be just in awe of the fact that you did this. You did this. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, holding that printed book, everyone's like, everyone talks about the reward system, the endorphin system of reward yourself when you finish each step, and that helps, and my thing is though is this is my thing is like, oh, it's printed, my precious. Yeah, literally I turn into Gollum with every printed book that I get. It's like, my is that you got to go back and fix. That is soul sucking.
Yeah.
That is stab yourself in the eye with a fork. I'm not going to be a writer anymore. Soul sucking because I put so much work into the formatting and it still sucks.
Or when you order author copies for events and they come in with part of the stuff cut off at the top, and you're like, I know I double checked this. I know sometimes it's not you.
I had author copies. I had people ordering books. Several people ordered when I started offering signed books through Ko-fi. I had an author copy come in, and the pages were this way, and the book had been cut, and it was okay. So some of my books I do in the 5.5 x 8.5 size, the smaller size, and some I do in the 9x6. It came in and it was trimmed shorter than all the other books like it. And I was like, what in the world? And I opened it up, and the whole book was like all the print was just slightly like maybe a 5-degree tilt. So it was like this on the page.
It's going to have to be like a special edition, that one.
And I was like, I contacted Amazon, and they're like, oh, misprinting. And I sent the guy images of the misprint, and he was like, yeah, we'll get you a new copy out.
Yeah, no joke.
Yeah.
You would.
I was like, do you want this one back to give to the publishers to say this is what you need to not send out to people?
Oh no, they make too many mistakes for that. They would have a whole warehouse full of stuff.
And they were like, nope, just go ahead and keep it. And I was just like,
I sell mine.
That one is sitting on a shelf, and when I get frustrated, I go and pull it out and go, they printed this, and then I put it back.
Yeah. And this too, depending on where you are at in the world, sending it back can cost 3 times more than actually just getting it. So yeah, that's another thing. This right here is the reason why I'm hesitating on doing Kickstarter, because of what happens if my people get something wrong.
If you have to send it to Canada or Mexico, you automatically add $50 to it, just automatically.
Mm.
If you're sending it to New Zealand or Australia, add $75.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I've got a lot of fans that are from out of this country, so I'm just like, well, maybe I should just wait a little bit longer to see when this calms down, when it comes to the craziness with tariffs and stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I did find a printer though. I did find a printer here in the US that could do stuff. But again, it's it's just a matter of that part. That's the front end part. You guys are talking about the back end part with the shipping and stuff like that. So there's like a lot of fans that wouldn't be able to get the special editions, and I feel bad about that. Like if you're doing a special exclusive Kickstarter edition or something like that, that's not fair. I don't think that they can't get it.
Yeah. So this right here is a good thing too. I know there's a couple of websites with indie authors that have things that they are willing to do.
Yep.
Ko-fi is another good place to look at all of our Ko-fi pages and stuff like that, because you can message somebody and be like, hey, I'll beta read for you if you do this for me, or vice versa, or something like that. So keep that in mind too. Don't throw your manuscript out in the yard.
What is Devin Gambrell's website?
I'll call Indy.
I'll call Indy.
And just let me.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got it listed on my website. So, but Mama Maggie's the queen of grabbing links. So,
no.
Yeah, this is this. Oh, there it is. Okay, she has put together this site on her website.
And also in different, writer groups and stuff, or even I found people on these AuthorTube sprint streams that we're constantly in and constantly hosting ourselves, where we're like, hey, I kind of need this. Anybody out there in the middle of nothing to do and want to do something, we all understand that we are starving artists. So we only have so much of a budget.
All right. So, with that being said, this is how I put this discussion thing in the chat, because the way that I had it was going to take up the whole screen. So, do you prefer sci-fi, sci-fan, and or fantasy, and why? Do you prefer hard versus soft systems in each, or whatever? Yeah, like I said, we're going to take up the whole page.
You need to explain the question to me, because I'm with the dumb.
Okay, so this actually this has been percolating in my head since we did the Write Now, Read Now, Readathon. We just did Mythic Shadow of the Spark.
Okay.
By Adrian Santiago. And we were talking about, is it science fiction? Is it science fantasy? Where is fantasy? How much is fantasy? And hard versus soft systems. Now, if you science fiction is all science, no magic. Science fantasy is science, but magic can be there, or the technology for the science seems like magic. Fantasy is the magic and realms and stuff and sometimes there's a little technology thrown in, sometimes there's not. And the other thing in this question is, do you have a hard system or a soft system? Now, everyone thinks of the Star Wars, Star Trek battle when they talk about hard versus soft systems. The thing is as the hard system is, these are the rules. When Harry Potter by She Who Shall Not Be Named was written, it was the first books had a hard system. These are the rules of magic. With like a lot of hardcore science fiction, these are the rules of the technology. These are the rules. You can't exceed these rules. You can't bend these rules. If you do, there are consequences. With a soft system, that is basically what Star Trek is they use, we can do this sciencey thing and fix any problem. The problem is you can't have the Q changing the gravitational coefficient of the universe to save one planet, because imagine how ripped up everything would get. So so it's like, and soft systems allow for you to alter and change and make the technology or the magic do what you need it to do for the story without explanation.
Plot armor.
Yeah, basically. So
Because it's both. It could be both.
And he went with the harder system for his tech and the softer system with his magic, because one has explanation, the other one defies explanation. And that is where the sci-fan overlap happens, because you have the science fiction elements and you have the and you have the fantasy elements. So when you are starting to write a book, and this is something that a lot of new writers and even experienced writers struggle with, is we will write something and we will genre weave. We will weave in and out of these lanes between science fiction and between fantasy. And then when you go back, editing has the problem of going back and putting explanation. If you're using a hard system, you have to have the explanations in earlier so you don't have pop-up plot armor. If you're writing a fantasy, you need to have some kind of mystical explanation somewhere earlier so you don't have the pop-up magic. It works in all different genres. It works for media, it works for anime, it works for movies. If you do not figure out where you're going to go with this, you end up with these OP characters that are like Harry Potter in the end of that series of basically super awesome ability, magic, defeat the Dark Lord, blah, blah, blah. Because, and the explanation was, oh, he has a special wand. He got basically the One Ring as a wand.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of, when you realize you're writing something and you need this thing, how far back do you start putting the breadcrumbs or the pre-recipe prep? Because I'm a baker, everything you prep, there is prep you do before you bake. How far back do you go? How do you do this? Because like, it's May the 4th. Happy Star Wars Day to everyone. Soft system of magic, soft system of technology. Science, and it's science fiction. And a bunch of creatives were like, the heck it is.
I go on record as saying I hated that addition to Star Wars. I didn't think it was necessary, honestly. I was just like, just leave it as it is. But keep in mind that I come from major TTRPG and I view it a little. I'm glad you explained it, because I view it a little bit differently. I was kind of going in a different direction with the hard and soft, especially because to me, it's like hard would mean that there are specific rules and that it's based in science or reality, there's an explanation. The author's given an explanation for it, and it makes rational sense. Whereas soft would be, oh, this just happens. And this is, it just happens. We're not sure. We just do this thing and suddenly there's powers.
Exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. The rules versus the will.
And to me, that's, for my mind, that would mean, because I didn't separate it. It like that. I separated it into science versus magic. So science would be hard, Star Trek. Magic would be soft, Star Wars, because they're using both and not using both. They're explaining things by science, even if it's not real, they're still explaining it using science in Star Trek. So that's what my brain went to. With Adrian's book, he's in the middle,
Yeah, he really did. Like I said, he went with a hard science. He went with the hard science system, and the soft mathematics system. And the thing is when you go for a hard system, and it can be like a hard magic system, like the Earthsea in the Earthsea books. That was a hard magic system.
True.
There was no breaking that system.
Even though it's magic.
Even though it's magic, it's a hard system. There are very specific rules that you
Wizard versus sorcerer.
Yeah.
Wizard, you have to do it this way. It has to have this ingredient. You have to do it. I can only do it so many times. I can, and sorcerer, it's done.
Yeah. D&D, for tabletop gaming enthusiast, D&D is a very hard system. Everything, even though it's the vast majority of it is fantasy and magic, everything has a rule. You would very, very rarely have a elven druid character cast fireball. That's not part of their magic.
There has to be a reason. Like, there has to be a reason for everything. And it's got to make sense. Again, to me, that's a little bit more hard.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to make sense in the real world.
Unless you have a chaotic neutral character.
In the book world. Like, in my book world, I have a harder magic system. And it, like, because Daisy was a physicist before she became an oracle, she does magic using math because she had no one to teach her how to use her magic. So she converted it into the only system that she understood, which is magic is energy, and therefore I can use math to manipulate it. I'm going to faint. And then she does.
Too much energy. Yeah.
And there's the explanation of the Etherians having a quad helix DNA, which allows them to store this frequency of energy that exists as part of the universal background energy, literally in their bodies, and how, due to intermarrying with humans who only have a double helix DNA, there's generations of Etherians who do not have any magic at all because they've lost that quad helix DNA, which is what allows them to store the resonance of magic energy. And so it's how much do you give when you're writing this system, and how do you avoid having OP? First of all, the OP characters. Is there a reason for you having the OP characters, whether it's a tech genius or a wizard of immense and unimaginable power? And are there rules in your system of either technology or magic? Are the rules bendable? Are they breakable? Where do you go with this? And
so where would you put urban fantasy? Because I feel like that's in the middle too, because
urban fantasy, technology is just part of the prop in the background.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we like refrigerators and automatic ranges for cooking would be considered magic to those in the medieval era.
True.
So, a lot of it falls under Clarke's third law. Technology sufficiently advanced appears as magic. So when you have urban fantasy, do they use cell phones? Yeah, they use cell phones because that's just part of the tech of the world. But the tech is not necessarily the focus of the story. In Relic of Time Wars, I have them genetically reviving dinosaurs as a food source because there are these plagues that are killing all the livestock. And literally, the entire planet is on the verge of a global famine. Because even if we converted all arable cropland to production of food, we would not have enough calorie-based protein to feed everyone in the world. So they use technology to recreate dinosaurs. There's a point in the book where, because Daisy's a physicist, her and Dr. Moira Garrett start creating magic infused technology. But the thing is it's not magical technology. It is technology that uses magic batteries as an energy source. They use a storage matrix for that energy as an energy source for certain weapons. There's also a discussion about, being able to put bind an object to be like never wear out. Well, yeah, having something that would never wear out would be great. But if you had a t-shirt that never wore out, wouldn't you want next year's t-shirt too? If you had a dress, and the fact that it takes 3 times as much magic to undo that enchantment, the waste that would be created by having things that never wore out is a far greater problem than replacing something that wears out.
Mm-hmm.
So building these levels of rules within the worlds as you're building, like part of my complaint is I just DNF'd a book. And we were talking about it before stream, where the magic has like, the rules of it did not make sense to me, or in the context of the world it was in, or anything. It was just pop-up plot magic.
Like, I lean on the soft side with mine, but at the same time, I do give reasons, and it becomes a rule, if that makes sense. Like, how different shifters shift. One is physical, the other one is magical, energy based. The fact that dragons, they don't just have a human body, they have to go find a human body, and then they have to go through a rigorous ritual in order to bond to the body, which means that somebody's got to die for them to have a human body. Or if it's somebody, kind of like an organ donation situation in some cases, in some layers. I know that we've also gone back and forth on, how do dragons breathe fire? Well, for me, it's always been, there's a chemical situation going on. And that also winds up being the explanation of why they say that they cannot find remains of dragons, because of the chemical reaction that happens on death. They go to the stars, as in they self-immolate. So there's nothing left. And it's a napalm-like reaction when they spit their bellows out. So that's what you're seeing. And so we went into great detail and depth when it came to explaining these things in a way that people in the modern era would understand it. But at the same time, we do play fast and loose with stuff along the way too. I can't claim to be as dedicated to the hard facts as Magie is. So there's that. I like the fact that I've got the urban fantasy setting as my pillow to land on, because everybody knows what today is like. Everybody knows, the technology for today. We did have to change a few things because we wrote this in the late 90s, early 2000s, and technology has worked forward since then. So we kind of changed had to update a few things. But we don't have to worry about science fiction technology, so to speak. It's more, hey, this is happening in the modern era. And then if you go to the other world, it's more of a, I wouldn't say that it's like as far back as medieval times, but it is very much at least frontier times, circa 1700s ish, the way that world is laid out. And in some places maybe even further back, but it has grown to kind of accommodate people that are coming from both sides. So it is being affected by our world, even though they're trying to keep that from happening. So yeah, I kind of lean towards soft systems because that way you can, when you find a problem that you've not explained, it
You can
gives
get
you
away
wiggle
with it.
room. Yeah, it gives you wiggle room to figure it out. If you can't explain it, though, you can't explain it. Why? I mean, some things you just don't include in your book because it just doesn't fit. Like Mama Maggie was talking about with the other book that she just DNF'd. It's like, but that just doesn't fit. And I've come across a couple like that. I've come across a couple like that by major authors too, like best-selling, well-known authors that I'm like, that didn't work
Well,
for me. I don't understand why they did that.
the thing is they like I keep going back to Harry Potter, but that's the biggest example of a world that breaks its own rules. And so, I mean, in the books, it's not so much. In the movies, it's very obvious that they're breaking the rules. In the books, it's not as blatant, but it's still there. So, yeah, it's questions of like when you're starting a book, when you're starting a world, where do you want to put these lines at? What, do you have the ability to backfill, to explain something? And that leads us all the way around of, do you start publishing a series before you finish writing it? And
I think that's a good intuitive writer versus plotter too, because I'm an intuitive writer. Things change all the time. So
Got to have the wiggle room.
right. So it's like I have to have the soft system. I can't do hard systems because the brain is going to be like, nah, let's go over this way. And I do series. Capture is going to be 10 books. The dragon erotica might be a series. I don't know yet. More than likely, it's going to be 5 books. And then my epic is going to be 12 books. So I have to have that soft system because in the 12th book, they ain't no telling what Andy's powers are going to be. He's aged 100 years by the time that 12th book comes around. So he might have focused on something else. So yeah, it's for
well, let's
intuitive
ask
writers.
Mel in the background. Mel, look at me, Mel. You're the reader in the room. Do you prefer hard systems, middle systems, or just soft chaos systems? Or does it depend on the world? What?
I read all of them.
Yeah, she says mixture.
I like things mixing up and stuff. I've read hard. I've read soft. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to entertain Hunter too.
Yeah, she's trying to keep, because she's here. There's a new person here, and he's like, "Ooh, play." So yeah.
You got shot?
Yeah. Yeah, if I make hard boundaries in Magic, I will try to bend them. I think Kat's an intuitive writer as well, right? This guy agrees with the plot holes in HP. Yeah, don't bring me into this.
I try not to allow plot holes when it comes to this, but yeah, I do leave some wiggle room. I mean, for me, it's like if a certain race dies, there's a certain thing that happens. It's going to happen, and that's that. But yeah.
Kat says, I tend to have an end point and a starting point, and we'll see how we get there.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't
She's
know
so
if y'all
happy.
heard that, but Hunter was like, "Ooh, microphone!" All of a sudden.
Hunter's a good boy. Yeah, there's all kinds of things like back to the Star Wars thing. If you read author you pick up, there's like 24 who since the 1970s have written Star Wars fictions. And you can tell who are the hard system people versus who are the soft system people just based on their writing, just based on their interpretation of a world where technology is a behemoth and the Force is magic.
Cleric versus warrior and wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's paladins versus chaos orcs.
Yeah.
Paladins versus barbarians. There you go.
One
If
to
the
two.
rule breaking can be explained in a way that makes sense, I think it's even allowable to bend them in a hard system as well. Maybe the magic evolved or the study of science advanced into new uses. This is Relic of Time War series is all about new ways to do things.
And using
sometimes
magic as energy or energy is magic.
Sometimes they work
absolutely.
and sometimes they blow up and take a building with them.
This right here. Yeah. And all of a sudden the hero wins just because.
Oh, I can't stand that.
or she's the orphan rogue half wolf that then you find out she's a wolf witch vampire angel unicorn demigoddess hybrid.
You know when I stopped watching True Blood, don't you? You know when I stopped watching that program? When I was like, wait a minute. Why?
I couldn't get over the southern accents with that one enough to get
that
past
too.
like the third episode. So.
Why? Okay.
But to be fair, my brain
because-
was like, "There's so many southern accents. Maybe it's okay." And
Yeah.
I just kept
problem
going.
is you can't change your own. If you are this southern, your accent stays pretty stable
Until you get angry. And then it gets deeper.
until you
Or
get angry,
drunk.
then you get more southern. But the thing is you don't go from having an East Texas southern accent to having a Georgia southern accent.
No.
or a Nolans southern accent. It, like in the same in like the same 1 hour.
Or Georgia peach. I had a professor that had a Georgia peach accent. I was about ready to kill her.
That's one of the things that I liked about Knives Out.
Yeah.
Was the characters, even the British characters, kept the same style of accent throughout. They didn't have that accent drift that some people have. Kara, I spent years training that out of my voice.
So the only thing that I see that one thing that I do see, and I don't know what you guys think about this. I'm trying to figure out how to word it in my mind. We have our cultures adapt over the years, which I think is a natural occurrence considering I studied anthropology. Culture does tend to change and adapt to new ways of thinking, unless they're sliding backwards to the 1950s. But we have Lycan who are very, very specific. They're very mate oriented, very, they even had at one time arranged marriages, and they're, I mean, quite frankly, homophobic in the early parts of our culture, introducing this culture.
Really?
So I'm like, okay, so that's starting to adapt out as our story goes on, and they meet more people and they get involved with more species than their own. And then they realize, well, also, like some of this is happening in our own species. And, and also the horrible roller coaster ride that Kieran goes on from the time he gets mated through all of this happening, and he's the alpha, so he's like really seeing the effects of arranged marriage, of being so close-minded and everything. So I feel like just kind of situation, like, do you stick with hard, do you have some cultures that stick to a hard bunch of cultural norms, or do you have most of your cultures adapting?
I have it both ways, because Relic of Time War is across thousands of years. In the modern part of it, when they're at the end of the war, there's a group of Ethereans that they call themselves the elitist. Everyone calls themselves the elitist. Etheria is for Ethereans only, and those that have mostly Etherian blood, because there's so few purebloods left. And if you're not enough Etherean to do magic, you should have to go live with the humans. And then you have the equalitarians, who are like, a person's worth is not their birth, it is their heart, it is their mind. And there are political power struggles, there are cultural power struggles, because this division, like in Terrorth, in the Terrorth Falling, spoiler, Terrorth gets, the Earth equivalent world gets harvested. There's a thing that happens where this group of humans is like causing troubles, and this group of Ethereans, who are basically the local, helping the local police force, are like, y'all need to settle down. And the humans are like, frick us, pointy ears, you're just a wolf, and like there's a separation between them. They're like racism evolves into speciesism, and there are biases between humans and Ethereans, and the humans who are friends with Ethereans versus the humans who want the Ethereans to just go away. So I handle culture, me, I have an anthropology degree. So culture is a living, evolving, changing things. And there are people who are going to hold on to that culture as tight as they possibly can. And there are people that are going to embrace the change.
So I have vampires in my epic that are millennia old. One has adapted so much that he doesn't have an accent, and he doesn't really do holidays or anything like most cultures do. He's just there. He's kind of lost his love of living. But I have his younger brother who has adapted to the Native American lifestyle, specifically the suit. And then his younger sister is stuck in the Victorian age. So, yeah. I just love that if you read a book and there's characters that are thousands of years old, and the person puts thought behind it, and you see the changes in the eras, like when they do flashbacks and things like that. I just love seeing that. So if you have a character that's thousands of years old, do your research. Highly recommend.
So the culture of that era, to me, is hard, but
Mhm.
the culture in the character's mind should be soft because they're going to age, or age isn't the right word. Um, they're going to get better. You know, they're going to mental thesaurus. Come on. I'll just say age for right now. You guys come up with the right word. They're going to improve in age, you know, to change their point of view. Kieran in our Dragon Tasker universe world is one of those people. Devin too. Um, Devin doesn't realize it as much at first that he's got these old traditional things going on in his head, until he has children that are non-traditional come at him, and then he's got to figure it out really quick. so so yeah, I see it that way because, again, like Maggie, I studied anthropology, and cultural anthropology in particular, and that's just the way I see. That's how I write my characters. Now there are some that are very, very, I don't know, I kind of think I'm Dawn and I may punish those, the ones that don't want to move, the ones that refuse to change. I kind of think we punished them in a way. They're not exactly good people after a while, you know? Like, I don't know. It's like they started off being good people, and it may be just a reflection of what we see going on in our own world. Like, they were good people, but at the same time, they had all of these, you know, biases, and they're holding on to those biases, and they're not letting go. So the world is moving on. The culture is moving on, and they're there.
Yeah, it's very interesting to write the evolution of cultures because you have to keep in, so that the change becomes evident. You have to keep those that absolutely will not bend their culture at, you know, and they have the good intention. They have the good intention of preserving their culture, preserving their art aesthetics, preserving their traditions. The problem is things aren't static. Things are always changing. And especially if you have a world with evolving technology, if you have a world where where things are blending, then you're going to have those that, despite all of their good intentions, and, you know, where do you draw the line between we're preserving our culture and we have become stagnant? Because there's this very interesting thing that is a discussion that happens. It happens in the Huntsman of Adamo's prequel, and it happens later in Relic of Time Wars, where they talk about the technology of the Etherians did not change for tens of thousands of years, because your birth, your magic, your birth and your magic determine your position in society on every level, and you cannot live outside of it. And why evolve technology when you have magic? Why even bother with it? And it isn't until they start losing their ability, the people start losing magic, that their technology starts evolving again. And then when you jump into the future where the war is, they are literally so few that they do not have the choice except to rapidly force the evolution of technology and magic and infusing them together, or they're not going to survive.
I guess what I guess what holds the balance when it comes to our Ordia is that not everybody is magical. Not everybody can use magic. As a matter of fact, most people don't. So they do have to keep going as far as, you know, plumbing and, you know, using steam and stuff like that. But
as a reader of your world, and not a writer of your world, as a reader of your world, there are a lot in Ordia that appear to resist technology.
That too.
Like it's like
Like and resist both technology and magic sometimes.
and when you're going back and forth, you have to basically go through customs. And they're like, can't have this here, can't have that there, can't take this into this world. You're going the other way. No, you cannot take these things with you this way.
You're not supposed to have guns here. Well, are you going to tell on me?
Yeah. You're not supposed to take magic back into Earth. Yeah, no. You're not taking weapons or cell phones or these tech or hand grenades into Ordia. Why not? We're fighting a war in Ordia. Yeah, you're not taking these. You can have basic magic bombs, but you can't take C4. So yeah,
they control it.
Yeah, they catch you with an illegal portal into Ordia.
That's what the whole thing is about right now.
Yeah, so these are just I just brought this up because it was May the 4th and because I just DNF'd a book where the magic building, it was contemporary, set in the 70s and very accurate for the culture and people at the time, but the magic, if they hadn't put the magic in it, I wouldn't have just skipped to the last 2 chapters and been done with it. So it's, if you're going to build a hard or soft system for magic, for fantasy, for advanced technology, don't have pop-ups. Don't have a pop-up plot point to give characters plot armor.
Yeah, because even with us being the way we are, and we just have goalposts, and we don't have exactly a complete outline when we're doing something, we still keep that in the back of our mind, like, this is a rule, or this is, hey, this shouldn't happen. This seems out of place. So yeah, I agree. Like that's I don't think I could do it that free and loose. Not what you described. No.
Just what you need, where you need it. Oh,
no.
Oh, she needs magical healing powers. Guess what? Your ancestor was a unicorn. What?
Is this the reason why you hate unicorns so much? Because they're always plot armor?
Evil soul sucking.
Wait, has that movie come out yet? I don't remember.
The Murder Corn movie. I think it's coming out this month.
Okay.
I
really got to see that.
I support murder corns.
We need more evil unicorns.
Yeah, we do need more evil unicorns. I like that.
I remember, was it Legend, I think, that had the unicorns in it with Tom Cruise?
Mm. Yeah.
That was my first introduction to unicornness.
Yeah, murder corn. It's going to be a thing, apparently.
The premise of the story is this family on vacation. The dad works for a pharmaceutical company, and they hit a unicorn with their car. So then it becomes a pharmaceutical research thing, and its mate comes and finds it and murder corns everybody.
Yeah.
It's not your average My Little Pony.
My murder pony.
There was a fan fiction, I do believe.
There's multiple.
Yeah. Who was it that went on a murder rampage? Pinkie. Yeah, Pinkie Pie went on a murder rampage.
Pinkie Pie was deranged anyway, so yeah.
No, murder corn sounds like corn mazes and unicorns to me. Yeah. I get that. Oh, goodness.
My murder pony.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Let's do it. Somebody needs to mix My Little Pony opener with Friday the 13th. Here we go. Somebody needs to do that. All y'all mixers out there, just do it.
Friday
the music from Friday the 13th.
I'll be right back.
With My Little Pony. Because that's just gonna be chef's kiss. Yeah, I think we've had some decent discussions. Halloween would be a good one too. My Little Pony and Halloween. I don't know. I still like Friday the 13th idea. So yeah, Hunter's still throwing his ball. Are there any questions
It
that
exists.
the audience has? What exists?
I don't know about the song, but there is My Little Pony and Friday 13th mixes.
Oh my goodness. You know what I'm going to be looking up after this?
You know.
I don't want us to get copyright yet, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a thing that y'all can look up instead of doing your work.
Authors behaving badly. Authors not doing
Okay,
not
okay.
writing. Writers not
No. No.
That's the whole, rule 30. What is it?
Kanban board with all the projects.
writing.
I'm not allowed to paste any shiny projects.
You can
No.
make a post-it saying, "Look up Friday the 13th and My Little Pony." Add to it.
A
It's
mix. The mix.
They threw Naruto in that one too.
Oh no. I have a feeling we're going to be going down a rabbit hole after we get off this.
Yep.
No.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
There are rabbit holes in the fan fiction world. We do
Right,
not.
I have a
I
garden.
mean, I've got book 4 pulled up, so I'll finish it, but still.
You want to play in the
Yeah,
background.
I have genetically revived dinosaurs and semi-immortals and space travel using time energy as a warp drive accelerator. So yeah, I have enough crazy things in my series.
Hey, Emma.
Hi, Emma.
You're not
Yeah,
supposed
husband-
to behave. I don't know how to
Husband is
behave.
wanting to know when we're going to eat and then work on the garden. Sky,
Dinos and
Sky.
unicorns?
No, 80
Art.
something project. 80 something projects. The answer is no.
Play
No,
art.
Sky. No, resist.
I have a rainbow unicorn. And it's a lunar unicorn, so when you bounce, it actually goes whee.
So there is a project.
So is it going to have a hard or soft magic system?
But yeah, I have a project pen that I haven't added to the list because I really don't want to do it, but it might happen because unicorns and ninjas. Yeah, I don't know why I thought of that, but it might happen. I don't know. Might be but dinos and unis, y'all. Yeah.
Yes. And dragons.
Sky,
Don't forget the dragons. Toss the dragons in there.
Sky has over 100 now. Mm.
No more. No more. We both took an oath, finished what we had created. No more.
Do you guys have a book that you just list all the ideas in and then you just close it and okay.
I have a file.
Unfortunately, my ideas are in like 3 different books, but yeah.
Cammy,
Not Not until you get into weird romance.
Next
That's
time we
a different.
Monster
That's a
romance.
different version. That's a different genre.
Monster romance. Go look it up. Maybe you find it.
New romance.
Oh gosh. Yeah, there's not technology to fix that.
No. Okay. We're staying at 63 projects, Samantha. Yes, we are staying at 63. Okay. I don't think there's any more questions other than hard or soft and genetics. But so do y'all want to do?
And down the gutter we go.
We're just talking about biology.
Yeah, yeah, biology. Nomicus.
Where are your minds going? It's just biology.
Hard or soft magic system depends on whether I'm writing non-spicy dark fantasy as CL Hart or cheeky and very spicy fantasy as Little DeVille. I like that. I love those pen names.
Those
That
are
is
great.
awesome. Someone writing a sweet monster romance. I approve the mention of hard or soft combined with offspring. Yeah. I don't know why we pretend that our brains have moved out of the gutter.
Never.
Okay.
Keep it prepared.
Some of the panels sometimes when you're supposed to be professional and everything and you're just sitting there. And the thing is, it's like my face blushes. Like it just immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm a 13-year-old. The 13-year-old in my brain is just like,
Yep. Agreed. Same. Okay. Before we actually do go down the gutter, y'all want to do your outros, and we will see everybody next Sunday. Who wants to go first?
me? Oh, I'm
That
Rach. Wait, what? Okay. We'll do the same thing we did when we came in. For time's sake. I'm Rach. I write urban fantasy, paranormal romance, all kind of spice levels, and I have an author blog called Aggressively Helpful Writing Advice. It comes from somebody who's had plenty of experience, but doesn't necessarily have certifications to give you the advice. I'm just being practical about it. So if you want to, come check that out. And now to Mama Maggie.
Hello, lovelies. Mama Maggie Ward, independent author, stroke survivor, migraine overcomer. This book, How to Become a Crazy Cat Lady to Survive the Zombie-Apocalypse, is on sale for 99 cents this week for Zombie Apocalypse Survival Awareness Month. Happy May Readathon. I also have no formal training. This is just what I've gone through, what I've seen, what I've learned, and yeah, so everything we talk about, this is just us trying to help you because we've slogged through it too.
May the 4th be with you.
Yes. It's also us just talking things out, like, genetics and stuff like that too.
Research,
whether that helps you or not, it gives you a laugh. So. All right, so I am writer Sam Wicker, and here behind me is my bestie Mel. Links are in the description for all the things, including Mel's website for her art. So please check it out. She does commissions. And yeah, we will see y'all next Sunday right here on this channel at 11 a.m. Eastern. Bye.